So today we got in a couple pair of jeans that the customer wants tapered. I want to make them a little bit skinnier in the leg down to the foot. So if you want to learn how to do that, stick around and we'll get right into it. Okay, so the customer pinned these, how thin he wanted them, and from that side edge is 8 inches, and from here is about 2 inches. So we're gonna taper them down to 8 inches. So the first thing we're gonna do is get these things turned inside out. So usually there's 2 sides of these. That's one's top stitched and one's not top stitched. But we're gonna want to use the side that's not top stitched, because then we're not gonna have to add this extra stitching. It's just gonna be one less step we'll have to do. So once you get them turned inside out, you can open up this edge that's not top stitched and put it flat on the table. And our measurement was 8 inches. So we're going to make that mark. And at this point, I like to open up this bottom, because it's going to have to be opened. You're just going to want to open it a little bit further than where your mark's at, so that when we're going to stitch it all the way down to the edge, and so you want both sides opened up past to where your mark is. Okay, so we've got our pants marked and we've got our pant leg laid out flat, and this one is, it's got some top stitching. These are some pretty fancy jeans, so they're top stitched. This is the side that's not top stitched, but it does have some decorative stitching along there to there. So I'm not going to, usually I would taper all the way up to the pocket, but on this, since these have this fancy stitching, I'm only going to taper to here, so that all this fancy stitching can stay. So I've felt out where that is, and you can kind of see where the top stitching starts here. But I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start drawing right along the seam, because you don't want to put an angle on it too sharp. But if I had a fitting, I would pin it exactly where he wanted it. But for this one, I'm just going to kind of do a gradual, and it'll kind of come out like that. And then put the ruler on here. So that's pretty good. It comes straight and comes out and then hits that line and tapers itself down to 8 inches. So we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and sew both legs just like this. Okay, so I've got my thread changed out to a nice sturdy thread. Don't want anything too thin, but not too thick either. You could use jean thread if you wanted, but not necessarily. We're going to start right at the bottom. See, I've opened up the bottom of the hem and folded it back. I'm going to line up those seams the best you can, because if you get them off, it'll show up once you're done sewing. So you want to make sure that they're perfectly lined up. And you could pin them, but we do this all the time, so you just get used to saving time when you can, so that we can do this quick and make lots of money. And I've got this on a medium stitch, about a 4 out of 5. Then you're just going to follow your line all the way up. Okay, now that we've got this stitched on our line, we've got all this fabric left over, so we're going to have to serge some of that out. And you could just serge it flat, but since this has two, it's opened and ironed open, we're going to try to match that. So I'm going to go ahead and open this seam up. Then we'll move over to the serger. Alright, so I've got the serger set up with the same color thread that's on the original. We're going to try to match that. And I'm just going to open this up right where we open the seam and put it on here and make this serged edge. And we're going to go up and down on both legs. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is take this over the pressing table and press this seam open, and then we'll go back over to the sewing machine and finish the bottom. The reason I press these open first is so that when you do this hem, that this lays correctly. If you would close this seam up and then hem them, you know, you might have a seam on the inside of the pant that's messed up. So press that open first and then close this on top of it. So you can see my seams lined up just perfect where the bottom of that pant was and where the seams are lined up just perfect. So I'm gonna stitch on the top and just follow that ditch that the old stitch was in, follow it all the way down, and I'm gonna overlap probably 1 inch on each side. And the thing you want to do here is set your stitch length to the same length that the original was on. Try to make it look most like original as possible, so you can't even tell any work was done to it. It's your goal. All right, let's go press them. So all I'm doing on this is pressing this seam open. All right, there we go. Tapered pair of jeans. Hey, thanks for watching, learning how to taper jeans. Hope you learned how. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about alterations, hit the subscribe button, head over to our channel and watch more videos. While you're doing that, I've got 2 more pair that I've got to taper. So see you in the next video.